Call this meeting to order. Any adjustments to the agenda? Nope. Karen?
I'm good.
Okay.
Well,
Well, if you want to
there's
move,
an echo.
there's not here. Do we want to move the general fund draft budget up to D and then give the library a little bit more time?
Can do that.
Yes.
So, or D to A, I guess.
D to A and then backtrack from there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Selectboard New Business. We're gonna start with the general fund draft budget.
So in your packet is the first draft of the general fund budget. I will state that I did put everything back into this budget for fiscal year 27, including the kitchen sink and the bathtub. We're gonna start out on page, hold on.
Down a little bit.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start out on page 4. And as you know, revenue is revenue. We get what we get. And I can say current use has been going down over the years. I anticipate it probably will go down again. And our banking interest on our sweep account has gradually been going down. So unfortunately, that's another revenue stream that will continue to go lower and lower. But on page 4, I have salaries are based on a 6% cost of living adjustment. We did look into Howard Fairman's comment, and we've discovered there is a New England Consumer Price Index, which is higher than the national. So I just want to say thank you, Howard Fairman, for pointing that out. So right now the budget is this budget will change, folks. This is not set in stone. It will change. So cost of living right now is at 6% in this budget. I've added administrative assistant, $54,600. That is approximately $30 an hour. That can be adjusted somewhat. It depends how we move forward. Added a little more to the contracted services so I could include potentially grant writer and any other contracted services that might be needed for the town of Putney. There are some numbers that have not come in yet. So again, this budget is not set in stone. Did everyone get a chance to review this a little bit?
Emily's on. Yeah, a little bit. With the contracted services, is that also, does it also, include, does that also include,
Legal services?
the legal services and the assessor, the proposed assessor?
No. The assessor will be in the listers department. You'll see that. And legal services or under, like, right behind select board. Along with the audit.
Okay,
So on page 4, audit and legal fees, I anticipate those numbers are gonna go up based on proposals that we'll receive, because I do have requests for proposals out there for both of those services. So those are two numbers that will also change. Again, salaries, when salaries increase, your FICA taxes on page 6 are gonna go up. Health insurance has gone up because I'm adding an administrative assistant with a 2-person plan. Just to be on the safe side, I do not want to put a family plan in there. Page 7, assessor, $36,000. And if you folks look at total tax listing for that department, if you go to the right, you'll see it increased by $25,750 over last year's budget.
Well,
and that's
the assessor is the big chunk of it, yeah? The assessor is
yeah,
more than it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to look at what we're proposing and what we're doing this year.
Okay. You have a second fee, I see, are you breaking down legal fees per department?
Not necessarily. I put a little money into the listers for appeals
Okay.
because technically that's where it should go. Although it falls under select board.
Yeah, we own those now, so, yeah, but that's okay.
So it's more cushion, Eileen.
Yeah.
So page 9, you have the zoning department. Again, it's best guess, what we might be doing next year. As you can see, it's 700 hours at $40 an hour.
Are we still on?
It's a $50 increase.
What's that?
We lost camera for some reason.
Oh,
Okay, no,
There we go.
And page 10. So total general government. It's increased by $181,913. So that's, town manager's office, treasurer's office, town clerk, listers, zoning.
And that's dollars, but not percentage.
That is dollars, and I can give you percentage. Give me a second, Peg.
26.85.
How'd you come up with that?
I did not want to give you the percentage because then you'd have like 32 pages and a lot of confusion.
Well, we've got Fletcher.
Year over year budget, it's 26.85% increase. Because we don't have
The-
actual numbers.
the
that
budget
are-
from 2026 to the budget
Right.
FY27, okay.
Right, because we don't.
Right, so the general government, it increased by 26.85%.
I thought you just did that math real quick in your head, Fletcher.
You know, numbers are numbers, they're just gonna be.
I'll make up the next one.
Yeah, but I'll be impressed.
Yeah, so there's that. What else? Hold on a minute, I gotta get all my papers. Yeah, I knew I was gonna get all messed up here. Public safety, we kind of went over that when we talked about the fire department model plan. The one thing I will mention with the fire department, because we just got a new number for where is it? On page 10, under public safety, Southwest Mutual Aid dues went up $8,617.
As opposed to the 1,500 that we have on this printout?
I have 37,500 budgeted from
The
2026.
increase, dollar change, the increase is 8,600 instead of the 1,500 that's on the printout. That's a huge jump.
It's like 23.7%.
True, so you're saying this number isn't right? Is that what we're saying? The 46,117?
Which number?
Is the budget 2027 still 46,117?
For Southwest Mutual Aid.
Yes, that's what it's gonna be for fiscal year 27.
Okay.
So Fletcher, what were you referring to?
Southwest Mutual Aid, the dollar change increase shown on this printout is 1,500 unless
Which
What's the
printout do you
new-
have?
I'm looking at December 1.
Oh,
This is December 3.
I see.
We've
Because
got-
ours is 8, the one that we have, says 8,617.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Okay.
Not sure why you would have a different package. Yeah, so it's 22.97%.
What do we know about that? That's about that increase.
Yeah, what we know about that is that they had an audit and it was recognized that they weren't charging municipalities that utilize their services enough money. So they've been undercharging for what they provide.
That'll get you.
But now they're making the correction and we're gonna feel it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see what else is in here. Getting all confused with all my copies here. Definitely getting confused. And thought this was gonna be easier, folks. The only other area, so I do not have a planning commission budget yet. So as of right now, there's nothing in the budget for planning commission.
What are they
And
usually?
it's usually small, but I'm not anticipating it's gonna be small for fiscal year 27. And the other number that will definitely change is the community services appropriation. Because that number is the very last number that goes into the budget based on a final budget.
Okay,
And that, it looked to me like there was, hate to harp at it, but the Seveds number seemed to have popped around in there between the intergovernmental agency appropriation and the voted article one. So we had the same number, 7851, appearing in the actual under voted articles, but in the budget under,
What page you're on, Fletcher?
on page 14 of at least my printout. I made the mistake of printing what I was sent and reading it. So I'm trying to catch up on this. Let's see. Intergovernmental. Yeah, if you look at page, the last page, whatever that number
okay, I
is, 16.
think it's 16.
The top line is the Seveds budget for this year, and it's in, you know, it's under intergovernmental agency assessments, which is what I have objected to in the past, because they're not a government entity or an agency and have no power to assess against our budget. But that same number in there appears, which I would say where it ought to, as a separate voted article, you know, in the next section below that. So you've got that number not lining up within the budget.
I see it as being in the actual FY26, because it was stripped out
Right.
last year.
That's right. It's in
And then
warrant,
the
but-
zero, there's a zero for the budget for this year, so it's back up here.
Which I would argue is in the wrong place. And
We've had that argument, and I think the town was pretty clear that they wanted it to remain there.
well, I think the town supported the having money going to Seveds. If we call it an intergovernmental or agency assessment, we've put it in our budget wrong, because Seveds is none of those things.
Has the auditor cared about that, Karen?
They haven't,
They've never said that's in the wrong.
No, they don't, no. They look at certain information. They don't take, you know, specific line items.
No, I think this is about between us and the voters, when we are reporting to the voters. And it also, the problem right now is that it kicks off the, you know, the social service agencies. It distorts the money there. We come up with a set dollar figure that we put into that gets divided up between them, but then this seems to sit on top of that. It really is, we're giving them money, but we're giving it to them outside of the parameters that we established for social service agencies. And I'm not sure, you know, it wasn't a great fit there, but the one thing I'm real sure of, Seveds is not a government entity or an agency that has the right to enter our budget as an assessment. We get a number from the school, the high school, it's an assessment, you know, we have to put it in. We get a number from the library, it's an assessment, we have to put it in. Seveds doesn't have that leverage on our budget.
So the library is an appropriation.
Yeah, Karen, can you put that in the appropriations line, and then we don't have to argue about whether it's an assessment.
Sure, I can just
You just
Number
remove
it.
it there and put it somewhere else so that it's a line item instead of an assessment.
yeah, I'll put it in between the library and the cemetery.
Sounds good.
Okay,
I can do that when Kim gets back.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So. So I do expect people to look at this, just kind of go through it, and if you have questions. We're gonna have another opportunity to talk about general fund. Cause it is the biggest one. And, it's increased by $128,432.49, which is a 6.77% increase. I want to bring you folks back to page 1. The very first line, property taxes. So that is an increase it's larger than expected because on page 3, we had surplus money for this year. We won't have that in 27. Or I should say, it's not in the budget for 27 at this time. So what it does, folks, is line number 1, property taxes. We're raising more money because we don't have that surplus in here. And sometimes that's it offsets one year, but the following year it comes back, and it's a larger number.
Karen, shouldn't we have the lot in here too?
The who?
The rooms and meals lot? Local options tax?
Yes, the 1%, we can add that. Good catch.
So that'll help a little bit.
yep,
Yeah, what did we end up with? 2,100. So for the first quarterly payment.
For the first quarter,
2,100, yeah.
so that's gonna hopefully be the same each quarter.
yeah, yep.
So we're looking
So
at,
about $3,000,
we get the other ones, then
fine.
it's not a lot, but it's something.
Something.
Good catch, Eileen.
Actually, it should go up a little bit, because we get 75 instead of 70% on the 1%,
Right,
so it should go up.
well. One could hope.
Getting back to the property tax increase, we've got 287,029 increase over last year's 1,414,000, which I'm getting as an over 20% increase.
Yep, 20.29%.
That seems like a lot.
It is a lot, Fletcher. I don't disagree with that. And every year when I do these budgets, yeah, it's a lot. I'm gonna go through and look to see what's discretionary. spending. And as I do every year, I end up trying to reduce the budget. I do the best I can, and I know things are tough right now. And I don't know when that's gonna change, but like I said, we do the best we can, and there's some more decisions that will have to be made on this budget. And it's nowhere near where I would like to see it. But we also have to remember that we have to conduct business efficiently and effectively, so.
Well,
So I will bring this back to the board.
Okay,
we are changing how we do business somewhat. If we do what the proposal for outsourcing the listers services, that results in a 73% increase in that part of the budget. And by moving the zoning out and getting another, however many, 700-hour zoning administrator in, that increases the zoning area of the budget by 124%. It moves out of your realm of responsibility as town manager, but it also creates a big increase in the cost of administering the zoning program. Are we sharing that? Are we in a position to share that zoning person with another town? Is that going anywhere, that proposal?
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Okay.
I have somebody in mind already.
700 hours also seems high. Before you were estimating that you were spending about 300 hours.
Right, and
it's gonna increase, right? Because
yes,
of the bylaws.
yep, when the bylaws get adopted, there's gonna be more responsibility on the zoning administrator. The other thing too, Fletcher, is the enforcement piece. And that's why I increased the hours. So I know what it takes to do applications and attend DRB meetings, Development Review Board meetings, but there has to be site visits, enforcement when it's needed, and
Can we increase the zoning permit fees?
yes, we can. And we should be looking at that as well.
One way to offset that, at least a little bit. Pretty low,
We should
actually.
be trying to think about creative ways to create revenue for this town. It's getting harder and harder. We've talked about it before. I'm going to stress again, the fact that we have property exemptions, it falls on the taxpayers. And there's only so many revenue streams out there. And, when I'm starting to notice that, even state funding is dipping down, we really need to be thinking outside of the box and figuring this out.
Well, I'm also seeing no revenue number for the fire department in here, meaning that policy that we've been batting around about collecting insurance money we're right now just leaving on the table. I really think we need to get that in place. Because right now we got zeros for revenue for the fire department on that stuff.
Well, you're not gonna Yeah, so there's zeros for revenue. Which line items are you looking at, Fletcher?
I'm looking on, well, I'm looking at the one that I was sent, which is the December 1 version, page 2. You can see where it is in here. Yeah, fire department fees, middle of page 2. Is there another place where insurance? I mean, as was pointed out to me, there already is a reimbursement policy in place. So it seems to me we should be requesting money from insurers. If we roll on an accident on the interstate, we gotta get the insurance information on the cars that are involved.
Well, we've been invoicing on the old one.
How's it going?
So,
I mean, I'm not seeing any numbers there. Is there something that we're not?
No, we've collected a few. So,
Sure.
your special detail, there's $910 that we collected.
Doesn't seem like a lot.
But when we get an admin person at the fire station, that will help a lot.
That would help a lot.
That's another good, rationale for that as well. And when we
Right.
get the ordinance written and
Well, as was pointed out to me,
we have.
there is an existing
Yeah.
ordinance
Yes.
Right.
that we're apparently, well, we're collecting some on.
Right, but we
I
can do
think the
better.
question in that ordinance was whether the fee schedule was actually part of the ordinance or whether it was separate. And there was some confusion over that. We should revisit that. Because really, if there's an ordinance, then, well, we might need to update the ordinance too, but,
But if the schedule's
if the
separate, we
schedule's
could
se-
upgrade the
yeah.
schedule, yeah.
yeah.
The schedule
Because
was,
that was the big deal, was that
Yep.
those two.
the schedule was written to be separate,
Is it?
yes, as was
It's-
given
okay.
to this board in its last iteration before I finished my work. There was an ordinance for
No, that,
approving the authority to bill, and
Yeah.
then there was a policy that set a fee schedule.
yeah, no, the one that we ended up rescinding, but the original one, is it written in the ordinance or is it a separate?
I don't
We-
think,
and we
I'm not
don't
sure
know.
without looking at
So
it,
that's,
but-
so,
I think there is a fee, some kind of fee
There's a-
there's a
schedule.
fee
There's a
schedule, it's just a
scale
question
there,
whether
but
it's in the
whether we can
ordinance
change it or
itself
not.
Yeah,
or
so
whether it's separate. And if it's separate, then we can adopt a fee schedule, but if it's part of the ordinance, then we have to go through the entire ordinance process.
That's correct, yeah.
Um,
We should get back on that.
That's on my plate, and I'm happy to be prompted. Thank you.
we're prompting,
Okay.
alright.
Any more with the budget, Karen, or you?
no, I think that's enough for this one.
Okay.
Yay,
Alright, I think Emily's here, so we can move
Go
on.
back to the,
We'll start with the library request for moisture mitigation. Further discussion?
yeah,
So, Emily, do you wanna start with that?
Sure. I know Karen brought to you guys a request to approve some money to redo the drainage for the library. There had been an ongoing conversation and a few different quotes because I had been trying to get grant money to do this for a few years. The thought was that we should do it while we're having our heat pumps replaced, which I think you guys are all aware of. We have air conditioning units in place now. Many of them were not functional. I had Arc Mechanical come and remove the outdoor compressors for the air conditioning units that were getting taken out early so that we could redo the drainage. We were redoing the drainage because we get water in the library basement, and that's been happening since I have been working at the library. So we get water in the library basement during just big rain events. And we also have a dehumidifier that is just like a home one where we empty a bucket all the time. And one of the contractors had proposed a solution where we redid the drainage, but also installed a a dehumidifier that drained to, our pipes, drained out like into the out with the rest of the outgoing water. And I also didn't realize that redoing the drainage would require redoing, like changing where electrical came out of the building because of the grade changing. So the project became more complicated than we originally thought, and because of that, and the tight timeline, I only had one quote for you guys that included all of those things. We also had another quote that only included the excavation and redoing, just that portion of things. But because the project became bigger, I heard there was concern that the select board felt like we needed more quotes. At this point, it's kind of moot because the window for getting this done is closed. We've just not, we lost our time with the person that had submitted the more involved quote. And we're not going to be able to do this while we don't have the compressors in place. So we're going to end up doing this later and having to temporarily remove the compressors for the new heat pumps to do the drainage. This was all a really tight timeline. The heat pump project got approved in late September. And then I think by the select board in October, this was just, we were really fighting ground freezing and the schedules of people that could do this work. So it's kind of moot. It's not happening, or it just can't, to my understanding, happen now. I am pursuing a grant that this could be a part of, but that we'll know more about, or, that we would hear about in March. So you might hear about it again then, but this does need to get fixed. This is the only library I've ever worked in that is not moldy. I'm trying to keep it that way. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to report on that.
Can I just add to Emily's comments that when we met the last time and I stated that I would figure it out. After more thought and conversation with Emily, the money would have had to come out of the general fund if I were to send that deposit. And I feel the library, any improvements for that building has to be coming out of the capital improvement reserve fund. And only the select board can authorize spending of that money. So I pulled back because one, I didn't want to spend money out of the general fund on the library when it should be coming out of a different fund. Because it would have taken away from the town hall. And I wasn't willing to do that. So I hope Emily can get the grant because that will help. And I think we have to put it on hold until spring, see what happens.
Okay.
And the wall we ran up against before was our put it out to bid policy for anything. So hopefully we can bear that in mind the next time around. Get enough of a head start on it so that we can get some bids.
Our internal policy, which Eileen has a copy in front of her for procurement. So it's based on a dollar amount, and sometimes we don't know what it's going to cost. Okay. So under a certain threshold, you only may be required to get verbal, or it can be discretionary depending on, the department supervisor and the town manager. So I think perhaps revisiting that procurement section would be helpful for department heads to, be better prepared with, whether we send out a full request for proposal or we're just making phone calls or we're just, soliciting certain providers or vendors. So I think tightening up the procurement policy would be a wise decision to make.
Yeah, this one was tricky because the first quote, which included only a portion of the project that we ended up floating to the select board, was under the $5,000 limit. And then, the second quote included more things and was more complicated and included a general contractor. I know that if I was trying to go out to bid for a general contractor for a job this small, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I spend a lot of time contacting people that just never call me back, like contractors who I think just think of these things as small potatoes or don't want to general contract something that is just a really small project.
Well, should we move the numbers up then? If we're gonna redo this policy? Should we make the threshold 10?
Well, I think you need to look at the draft policy that was presented to the select board a couple weeks back with all the highlighted areas, and we figure this out together.
All right.
I don't want to do that on the fly
So,
tonight.
It's not on the agenda tonight. We'll go back to the highlighted version. Our leisure. I don't remember what they were. Okay.
All right, we go to that.
Yeah.
Emily or Karen, want to add anything else? You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Moving on, library memo of understanding discussion.
So this is back in your packet. It was in an earlier packet. Emily and I have discussed, and I actually came across a lot of information of history. Back in 2022, I met with the library trustees and Emily, and we had a discussion about having the trustees and the select board get together to update this memorandum of understanding. And not only just for the library building, but also for, how do you communicate with one another? Because to be honest with you, I have no authority over the library. It just happens that Emily and I have a good working relationship. And a lot gets done because we can communicate with one another. But it is important for the select board and the board of trustees of the library to have open dialogue, especially when things like this are happening with the building.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we'd have to warn a special meeting on that one. Maybe after we get the warrant, the town meeting warning completed, maybe sometime in February.
Emily, do you know how many trustees are up for re-election?
I think we have two spots coming open. Yeah.
Do you have a full trustee board right now?
What we do, we presently have 9, yes.
Okay. Oh, we could do it after town meeting too. It just seems like there's a small window where there's like not a lot going on. February is often it.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you, Eileen. April seems things slow down a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I think it would be
Here.
a good idea.
Okay. I guess let's just put that on the radar. Do we know of any other library town relationships that are similar to ours?
There are others, yeah. And somebody had a really good MOU that covered a lot more things besides beyond the building that I have come across in my research because we've of course been having this conversation for a really long time.
Sure.
And it's great, we were able to achieve the building related MOU in 2018, but as Karen says, there's interest in expanding it to just iron out some more things.
Yeah, okay. Good, you already have a template.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Vermont towns kind of have a similarly confusing,
Yeah.
town library relationship because of the select board and the library board and just the way Vermont library law evolved, basically, is sort of why we have that. But it means that there's a lot of other towns in the same situation. And we can get guidance from the
We don't
Department of
have
Library.
to. Yeah, good,
No.
cool.
Okay, moving on, library draft budget.
Ooh, yay.
This is all Emily.
I can Karen, can you let me share my screen or maybe I already can? I just sent a request.
Are you,
Bex.
Bex, can you
Dear, I
get
feel
that?
so powerful.
Thank you.
Anything for the
Can you hit
library.
the OK button too? That says don't show this video button. It says it's being recorded, sorry. It's like been bothering
All
me.
right.
Thank you.
All right, I think that should work. Can you guys all see the gigantic Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. All right, great. I'm so glad.
And we have it in front of us as well.
Okay, great. Oh yeah, right. Thank you, Karen, so much for printing that out and distributing it.
You're-
I know you guys looked at some general fund budget. I started showing you guys my full color stunning presentation because a lot of times when we would have this meeting, I would be the very first municipal budget a lot of any new select board member would see and so we would start getting all these questions about how it's laid out because the NEMRIC I personally don't find the NEMRIC layout very user friendly, so thank you guys for letting me present the color coded library budget. Bex, I think you're the only one that hasn't seen a library budget before, but it sounds like you guys have been deep in the general fund budget, so this shouldn't be too unfamiliar. Just some notes on layout. We have the last completed fiscal year in green, in the green columns, the budget and actual for fiscal year 2025, the fiscal year that ended at the end of this past June. Budget, the pink column, budget 2026 is the fiscal year we're in presently. And budget 2027, the blue columns are the draft we're working on right now. So this is what I'm presenting to you all tonight. And, up here at the top, we have the revenues lines, and I will just talk through those really quick, and then we can do questions if there's any questions about those. The library has of course, gets most of its money from the town allocation, but we also have small fees that come in for the in-house book sale. Not our big event book sale, that's different. This is just the books that we sell through the year for $2 and $4 and make, a surprising amount of money in $2 and $4 increments. We also, as many of you know, host the only public copy machine in town. And so we have income from that. Out of town fees are people from other towns purchasing library cards. They don't pay taxes to us, so they have to pay a fee. We have income from that. Fines, we actually do not have overdue fines. These are just donations and money that comes in for people replacing books that have been damaged or lost. We do have investments and we contribute the interest from those into the budget each year to the tune of $3,000, which you can see there. The town allocation is 264,763 is our proposed number. The Edwall donation, which I know a few other departments also receive part of. Karen gave me the number $4,000 for this year. There's so the trustees put in money towards from their fundraising in two different places, actually three different places. We have the endowment interest, which you saw above, transferring from fundraising. This small number, 5,430, specifically covers our programming and our parks passes. So the trustees pay for all of that out of their fundraising money, and that's what that number is meant to cover. We have a zero line or a $0 line for miscellaneous grants. We don't really know what's coming year to year for that. And I have our courier grant is we get interlibrary loan instead of doing it by mail like we used to. We have a courier that the state Department of Libraries provides, and they also provide a courier grant, which gives us a portion is supposed to cover a portion of that, and it's at least $600. So I have just sort of put $600 in as kind of a safe number. And then the trustee appropriation is another place that the trustees put money in, and they've said that they would like to raise this by at least the cost of living allowance number each year. So that gives us this funny number this year of $21,013. And all of those things together make up the revenues that fund the library. Does anybody have any questions about what any of these categories are or any of these numbers?
I do. The endowment interest, of course, Karen's just warned us that interest is not gonna
Yeah,
the same rate, but I don't know anything about the library's endowment. How much is the endowment and what is it used for?
that's a great question in terms of how much it is. I just like I don't have that number in front of me, but we have it invested at what was formerly called Parks Place, and I think it's about $300,000. It is used for things like these items here. I also like when I say these items, obviously I'm talking about the transfer in from fundraising and the trustee appropriation. They also raise money through those things you might have gotten in the mail recently each year and through the book sale and other fundraising events. And then they'll contribute anything that doesn't go into the budget it goes into the endowment. But what it's used for is also other improvements that the trustees will either put forth themselves or that I'll put forth that they'll approve, like all of the different grounds improvements that the library's made recently, like the trees. We've recently redone the garden beds out front, the stone seating area. That was all money that the library board chose to use aspects of a portion of the endowment for. So it's money that the trustees can expend above and beyond what our normal operating budget, but also contribute to the operating budget. Does that answer your question?
I guess it sounds like the endowment is just expenditures are at the trustee's discretion.
That's right.
I'm used to endowment funds having a definition of what they can be used for. This seems a little more just discretionary.
I mean, I know that we certainly have a policy for the endowment. I think it's relatively, it's relatively broad. I don't think that we have any hard and fast definitions on what it can or can't be used for outside of sort of just like library operating or, improvements and things like that. But we do have a policy about it. It also talks about, how the trustees have to agree and document those decisions.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the revenues? Okay. We'll move on down here to the expenditures. For the most part, I've tried to keep everything as much the same as we can. Of course, things are getting more and more expensive each year. And you'll see small increases in things like that. And when we get further down, benefits, of course, have changed, and Karen has supplied those numbers for me. And the trustees are in the middle of a fair wage process that was part of their strategic plan. And I believe we have members of the trustees in the in the audience that can speak to that.
Unfortunately, there's nobody here.
Oh, good.
And you.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay. Well, that's a surprise. Well, then we'll see. There might be some questions I can't answer. Anyway, I'll buzz through this portion of the budget. Cleaning it, I'm keeping the same. Parks passes, which are the or programs, I'm keeping the same. Parks passes, which are the the borrowable passes that we have to Mass MoCA and Brattleboro Art Museum and the Montshire. Those have gone up a little bit, so I did increase that number, but that's covered above in the these two numbers together are what's covered by the trustees transferred from fundraising line in the revenues. I did raise the maintenance budget by $2,000 this year. We are installing those new heat pumps, and I know that they're going to be more expensive to clean. The maintenance and repairs line, I feel like, is always difficult. And as our building ages, I feel like I'm always like, oh, good, we're almost through June and we haven't gone over in repairs and maintenance, which like cues something to break. So, this year I did put a little bit more in to try to cover just like maintaining the new heat pumps that we're getting. Circulating materials, these are the things that you think of when you think of the library. Adult and juvenile books, magazines and newspapers, videos and audiobooks, and digital content. Both videos and audiobooks and digital content kind of speak to the downloadable audiobooks and ebooks that we supply. We also have Canopy streaming video and Mango language learning software, consumer reports, that kind of thing. So some of those things have gone up, and I've raised the book budgets just a tiny bit each. Further down, office supplies, I've left the same. Postage, this is, remember earlier when I talked about the courier grant, postage isn't so much postage as it is covering the transport of books. Like once we changed from mailing everything to the courier, it was a big cost savings, but we still just call it postage in this budget. We also do buy actual stamps once in a while. When people don't have email addresses, we mail them overdue notices. So there is some postage in there, but generally it's to cover interlibrary loan, and that's gone up a little bit. Further down, technology, that's hardware and software that we have to pay for each year, our internet hosting and things like that. Telephone and internet is it's nice and low right now because it's really only the telephone. The internet is covered by a grant that we got a couple of years ago for $17,000 that covered an upgrade to our fiber equipment and also covered it. We're using it for just the fiber internet service until it runs out, and it covers it through fiscal year 2027, so the year we're looking at. So this is low, and it's going to go up next year, kind of like Karen was saying about when you have surplus and then it goes away and it looks shocking. But right now we're still in the period where this grant is paying for it. And the copy machine costs have gone up a little bit. People really use that copy machine, and you guys are all welcome to also. Oh no, my salary.
Your salary line. We just saved $138,000.
Did you guys just fire? How did this?
I don't know.
I must have. Hold on. No one get excited. We didn't
got a
know.
way to find out, isn't it?
I know. Hold on. All right. Yeah.
On our end, it says, what does it say? It says,
149?
149, 281.
281. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I just typed it in. I must have hit a button while I'm looking at my paper copy and also the other copy. We're all volunteers now. No, just kidding. This is where our fair wage process that I was hoping for the members of the Fair Wage Committee to speak to is visible. The trustees felt, and certainly the staff felt, that the library wages had languished for an incredibly long time. And they took on a fair wage process to study what other librarians were making in surrounding libraries and to raise them in two steps. So last year they took kind of the first step and got sort of halfway to where they wanted to get. And then this year we see this increase here as well. And the hope is that once this step is taken, that we can just sort of be getting the cost of living increases that other departments are getting, and not be in this situation where people are making, you know, less than what everyone makes at Hannaford's. So that's my quick unprepared explanation for the salaries line increase.
Emily, can you just explain, last year, what was the percentage increase? Do you remember?
You had it on you mean overall or for salaries?
Yeah, for last year. Was it?
What are you saying overall for the whole budget or just for salaries?
No, just salaries.
You had it in your memo, in your NEMRIC printout that said last year was 11%.
Right. So part of that fair wage compensation and reporting. So last year it was 12, and then there'll be another bump up in 27.
Yeah, for that was the hope. Yeah.
Emily, can you tell us, how many FTEs are included in this salary figure? It's
FTE.
yeah, like.
Okay.
What are the employees working, just so we get a sense of.
How many
again,
people this is, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't have the full-time equivalent number like in my head, but Julia and I are the two people that are 30 hours and above,
Okay.
and receive other benefits. And then we have two part-timers who are, who are doing all the cataloging and also do supervise substitutes. So everybody that are kind of our core staff, there's four of us, and we all hold keys to the building, supervise substitutes, have de-escalation training and kind of all of the other things that we kind of do to be prepared as staff. And then we have a bunch of substitutes which who will help us out for illnesses, vacations, other things like that. So it does cover, with substitutes, we're open 41 hours a week in the summer and 44 hours a week in the winter. I'm trying to remember, or is it 43 hours a week in the winter? And we try to have two people on at all times. So that doesn't really answer your full-time equivalent question.
Well, it answers it to me that
Okay.
there's two full-time-ish
Yeah,
employees and two part-time-ish employees.
right.
Yeah.
And the part-time salaries particularly were very low.
Mhm.
Any other questions about that I can deliver to my board to have them answer for you later?
So what are your hours of operation? Can you
The
go?
library?
Yeah.
I say it all the time when I record the answering machine message. We're open Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And in the winter, the dark reading time, we're open on Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. And the other 6 months of the year, we're open. The only difference is that our Saturday hours are 10 a.m. till 1 p.m.
So all winter you're open from 10 to 6, not 10 to 3.
10, okay, we're 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday,
Yep.
and Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 3 in the winter, and 10 a.m. till 1 in the summer.
Okay.
That's because at some point, I think we were 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. All Saturdays, and at some point at town meeting, they increased the winter hours. That was before my time.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at something that says November through March, 10 a.m.
Yes,
to 3 p.m.
correct. That's right. That's what we're calling winter. It's sort of I don't know, daylight savings time. I don't know how they made that decision.
Yeah, let's see this time.
We celebrate it in our house, but like it's dark out, but at least we have the library later on
Yes,
Saturdays.
exactly.
I
Oh,
could
I'm
have
so
told you that it's still 3 now because it matters.
tell your friends. I try to get the word out, but then I like it when people are just hanging out and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you didn't kick me out. We're open later." But Saturday's our busiest day by hour.
I'm just trying to, I don't know, I'll have to do the math later.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing the 40 and the 41 hours a week.
am I doing that wrong? Hold on. So it's
And it's good.
so it's 7.5 hours times
Times
5.
5 is
5 is
37 and a
37
half.
plus 5. I'm sorry. So it's 42 and a half in the winter and it's 40 and a half in the summer.
Okay,
Sorry, I got that wrong.
that's okay.
And we don't always have two people on. Often I especially will work alone, on, especially for a short day like a Saturday.
Yeah.
Just if we don't have a substitute, it's also to save money. So it's don't tell all your friends that part.
Well, it just
Uh,
gives us a bigger picture too,
yeah,
hours versus your salaries too.
right. Um, Benefits and insurance, this is mostly the Karen department. You gave me all these numbers, but so
Yeah,
things just went slightly up or down. I was happy to get the updated health insurance number because that seems way saner.
yeah,
Are the plans the same?
yes.
Okay. All right. Um, so actually this went up way less than I thought it was gonna go up, so I'm happy to see it. You guys didn't all see that dramatic change, but health insurance is often the big jump in our budget. Any questions about benefits and insurance? Okay. Scooting down, training and travel. This is any professional development we do, for any of us to take a class. We actually take advantage of a lot of free professional development through the State Department of Libraries. And this is also for mileage, us going to conferences, meetings, or continuing education that happens in person. This hasn't gone up in like 5 years, and we it is starting to feel a little bit restrictive, especially with mileage and things like that. So I raised it $250. Utilities, these are also mostly from you, Karen, but
Right.
I'm happy to get the lower heat number. I'm hoping that with our new heat pumps installed, we can lean on them a little bit more and lean on oil a little bit less. So
Yeah. One thing about your electric, Emily, I think once those units are in, I think your
yeah,
electric's gonna go up.
I do know that. Yeah, I
But
think so too.
I,
Do you want to leave
yeah,
this? Do you want to leave this or do you want to increase it? I'm just not sure what to guess.
no, it's okay. I would leave it because if you go over, we can justify it.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned about that one line item, but I just wanted to make that note.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've thought about that myself. Um, Contingency special projects. This is a line where we always do it as $0. And then I use it to track, I will bill things or put things in here that the trustees have approved to pay for out of fundraising money, which we discussed earlier. And so this is kind of a special projects line. Last year, you'll see that it was $8,935. I know that we paid for a continuing education class for me, a fundraising class, and to send Fiona to a conference among other things. I know that the garden improvements were also in that 8,935. So that's just money that the trustees will reimburse the general fund out of fundraising at the end of the year. The liability insurance is another number I was jazzed to get because it doesn't seem that bad. I hope that remains true. I can't hear you, Karen. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's another number that is not set in stone yet, because I haven't seen anything from VLCT yet.
Okay. All right. I'll leave that red
Yeah,
in my draft.
thank you.
But Yeah, thank you for the updated numbers. And that that's it. Are there any questions about any of the expenditures of the budget as a whole?
Might not be a question for you, but maybe back to Karen, that liability insurance. Why is the liability insurance on a library going up by, 19.3%?
It's actually
It went down.
it's a
Went
reduction.
down.
It went down. Well, that's nice.
But you also said that you haven't gotten the number from passive yet, so we don't know if is that a number, where did that number come from? From last year? Is that where that-
No, I did like a 4% just to have a number.
Okay.
You did 4% over last completed fiscal year's actual, it looks like, right?
Yeah.
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 So last year's actual came in at 64.60 and you just
Correct.
did a percentage on things, okay?
Yep. Yep. It's a guessing game. It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
where are the numbers? Send me my numbers.
Well, that's always the last one. Don't you get that at you get that at the
Yes.
11th hour? You drive
Yes.
this nuts every year.
Yeah, it should be coming like within the next week here.
Let me know.
Well,
So I just want, so basically, the big picture, or, like the summary here is that basically the amount of money you're asking for an increase from the town is really comparable, almost exactly the same as the amount of money that you're hoping to increase in salaries. Yeah, and so you're basically asking for the town to support the ongoing salary adjustment work that you guys have been working on for the last couple of years. Is that correct? I mean, I support it 100%, but that's kind of the picture here, right?
The amount that we're asking for the town to increase is $13,851, and the salaries increase request is $11,016. So there is, there's a little bit of a difference there for sure. But
That's basically what the bulk of the increase is. And I just want to say that I feel like this is, given our budgets, I feel like this is a small amount of money for a huge, huge benefit for our town that the library gives us.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm always surprised to see the library budget and go, wow, how do they provide such a lot of service for really a relatively small amount of money, so I support this 100%, but I just wanted to make sure that we were kind of ready to address the question from the town that basically our increase is mostly going towards supporting the salary adjustment that you all are working on. And I think it would be really good to have the trustees be able to speak to that if people have questions about that.
I'll prepare them more before town meeting to make sure that they're going to be in attendance.
Yeah.
I'm
I certainly am not going to bring it up as an issue or a problem, but
No. I think you do raise it's certainly a significant part of our budget. And part of it is just because our model is essentially like we just buy a couple things and then share them with the whole town, but you need the staff to kind of make that
Right.
happen. So the staff is kind of the heart of what we do. But no, I think what you've noticed with our budget is accurate. The increase is largely driven by the salaries, and I'm glad to not see the big jump in health insurance costs this year.
Carry
Anything
on.
else, folks? All right, folks. Thank you, guys. Here, let me get. I'll stop sharing if everybody's.
So much,
Thank
Emily.
you, Emily.
Thank you, guys. Always lovely to visit. And yeah, anyone can please get in touch with me at any time. I say this to my trustees all the time. If you have any questions about this, this is your money. This is taxpayer money. Come ask me. You know where I work. And you know that answering questions all day is mostly what I like doing. So come on by if I welcome any further conversation or questions.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, folks. All right, if there's nothing else from you guys or any questions, I think that's my final agenda moment. Okay. All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your meeting, and I'll see you all soon.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks,
thanks.
Emily.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, moving on, select board old business, draft 2 of the highway budget.
So I made a change, but I'm probably gonna reverse it. And save some money. So in this draft 2, I added a 6th person to the highway department. And when I was thinking about it, it's okay to have a lean budget, especially when you can justify something. And with the education tax potentially being almost 12% for fiscal year 27, I may pull back on this extra person. My thought process is we have at least 3 people that will retire within 5 years or less. There's one person on the highway department. He should be enjoying his retirement, and bringing somebody on so they can get trained, and then allowing these people to, to move on and retire. And this is why I put this person in. But based on the numbers from the general fund, I may reverse my decision. But I wanted you folks to see what it looked like having a 6th person in the highway budget.
It's expensive training.
Well, first off, you got to get the people. And that's the hard part, Peg. Salaries are always, and having people, whether we're understaffed or overstaffed, finding that balance, sometimes it's not easy. What I don't want to see is that, we have 3 people retire and we only have a 2-person highway department. So we have to really start preparing for, replacing employees when they retire.
Are there ways in which you can engage the department in a planning around that more?
Yeah, I've talked to Lenny Howard about it. I think he knows the importance of, planning ahead and, succession planning, right? Even though these folks are, you can hire somebody and train them and get them to a point where, they can drive a dump truck, and be a part of the team, right? But we've had this position open for quite a while, and we can't seem to fill it. So again, I may just take it out and we just, roll the dice, see what happens.
Well, independent of the, wanting to cover our bases as people retire, what's the sense of actually how many people are needed to do the work of the, highway department? Yeah. Assuming you had everybody, you had all the positions staffed that you needed, how many do we need?
Well, here's the thing, and I thought of this, Peg, and I'm going to try to be diplomatic because I'm on public television. But, so I'm thinking, all right, we have 3, right? So if if the town got lucky and we hired, 1 or 2, younger adults, right? Would we need 5 people? Think about it, right? But you can't predict that ever will happen, as people cycle out, right? I mean, it's going to happen. It'll happen here eventually, right? So, I mean, there's at least 2 of us here that, 3 to 5 years, we're going to be looking for replacements, So, and it's not easy. We're not the only town that struggle to staff positions. Paid positions, it's even difficult. So I don't have an answer or a process, to but I do think about it, Peg. I'm like thinking, all right, what are they doing? Do we need this many people? But the minute you have $1 million storm, it's all boots on the ground, right? It's like, so, and plus some, right? We're bringing people in. So, yeah, that's a tough one to predict. But it's a question I can ask other town managers.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, for winter maintenance, I guess it's a matter of how much leeway does the town want to have? Basically, how much time do you want your roads not to be plowed? Right? Right? So, if there's only 2 people and there's 3 trucks, 2 people can only drive 2 trucks. So,
Right.
You look at the cost of subcontracting out.
Right.
There's a lot of towns that do that.
True. But I'm saying that it's about what the town can tolerate as far as their roads are concerned. And I don't think we've heard any major complaints about.
No.
So here's the thing. Whether it's staff or whether it's going to be costs, because road salt's gone up like $12.25 a ton. That's a big number, right? So do you do less? If you're doing less, then do you need, a team of 5, right? We own 5 dump trucks, you're not going to make 2 dump trucks sit idle or just parked, right? You're not going to do that because that's not a good investment. So, maybe taking a closer look and determining, do we need 4? Do we need 5? Do we need 6?
Yeah.
how much, I don't believe there's a whole lot of idle time. But again, it's comes down to the almighty dollar, right?
Yeah,
And the unpredictability of the weather.
yes,
Right.
and the people. Anyway,
Look at that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more? That all you have, Karen, for the highway budget?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
Cool.
We need an executive session?
I don't.
Anybody? Okay. Next meeting, December 10th. And
That's next week.
next week.
So folks, I gave you a draft agenda for December 10th when I emailed everyone.
Yeah.
I will ask you all to take a look at it. It's very heavy. And I don't recommend trying to get all of that work done next week.
Is the week after that gonna be heavy as well?
The week after is December 17th. I'd like to have the board look at all of the budgets. Do one more, run through, and then, except for maybe the general fund. But I need you all to look at the budgets again,
Okay.
because I don't believe you're having a meeting on the 24th. Is
Nope,
that correct?
that's true.
Right.
Do we have water and sewer budget numbers?
Yep,
We
I've
saw those.
already presented those.
Yeah, and those are solid?
Yeah.
The other thing too is I'll probably add to next week's agenda is draft town articles.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this board has been thinking about or considering any articles that might be on the warning for town meeting. I have a few already drafted, but
Okay.
and depending on what happens with the rolling out of the renovation of town hall, we'll see where that goes, but that's a deeper conversation about funding.
Okay,
Okay. I hear a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.